G'day folks, hopefully the audio is working now. I just started a live playthrough and my mic battery went flat within the first minute or two, so I've had to cancel and restart. And back at it. So I'll go through all the context again. This is turn 2 now of the to save Bastogne scenario from Wacht, Rhein, part of the GOSS. And I'm at the start. The Americans have had their turn. They've pulled back. They continue to entrench here. We've moved the engineers up here. We've got two small engineering companies here. They will try to entrench. It makes it slower, hoping to slow down the Germans. The Americans are looking for a bit of a deeper defense, slow the Germans down until the 101st Airborne can arrive on the next turn and take up some positions. Then we'll look to make a more solid line. For now, it's sort of slowing down their advance. So this is an engineering battalion here, so they've quickly been able to build a second level of entrenchments, and we've moved some engineers up here, and those two companies who will take their time. The Americans have pulled back from the north. They have reorganised their forces, trying to get some more solid stacks, basically more solid defensive positions. And now it's a German turn. Now they have reinforcements arriving from here. I've just done the mode determination phase and we have flipped our artillery over. They've got some good ranges of 5 and 7, so they can kind of reach these Americans on the front. It's a night turn, which means that mech units can only move one space if under a prepared assault marker. So that means that all these Germans here are going to be just out of range if they try to move with a prepared assault marker. I have put this stack here under a prepared assault marker. They'll get to move 1 hex, and I believe they get the benefit of terrain. One of the advantages of prepared assault is they get the benefit of terrain if subject to a artillery fire, what are they called? Fire mission, that thing where the Americans shoot. Fire support mission. Yeah, that's what I was looking for, phrase I was looking for. Yes, so the rest of these Germans will have to move up in tack mode. And it's kind of, this is what the Americans wanted, moving slowly forward. I really don't know if any of these Germans are in a position to consider an overrun. I haven't really tested out the overrun rules yet, but look, without looking at it, I know that the Americans have some decent stacks, not necessarily dense, but decent strength, 8, 9, 10-ish strength. So I don't know if it's worth testing out the overrun rules on those strong positions. Unfortunately, it means we're just going to have to drive at them with the stacks that we can get together. All right, so mode determination phase is done. Now, using again this condensed sequence of play for this scenario, and I've lost my scenario page. Okay, we move to the movement phase. And of course GOSS, I'll remind myself, GOSS uses a special sequence of play. In the movement phase, we do combat reserve designation first, then the movement segment, we may place reinforcements. Okay, these guys arrive here, conduct withdrawals, blah, blah, blah. Using strat mode may move. So first of all, units in tack mode moves. It's everyone else. And then I think, yeah, PA mode is step 5. So what are we going to try and do here? Leaving the artillery pretty much where it is. Boom, boom, boom. Trying to get these guys. This is a pretty strong formation. So these Americans here, so this is the problem with tack mode. You can't have a multi-hex attack on this position. So I want to try, I might start at the top actually and work my way down. So this formation here with a lot of movement, they're going to use this trail, and it is 1.5 movement points through non-clear terrain. They might kind of try, they're not allowed to move into Hoffelays, that's a special scenario restriction. They'll just weave along here and try and hit the Americans up here. So 1.5, 3, 4.5, 6, 7.5, 8.5. Might be worth trying to attack on that position. And now where? Do we swing around, try and hit this position, or just go kind of through the forest there? We might swing around and give some room here. So I believe we can go, what have we got here? 12, 12, 12. We can go 3, 6, sorry, 3, 6. Yeah, we can make that easily. So we'll go 3, 6, 7.5. And the cost of that rough terrain, which there's so many charts all over the place. Cost of that rough terrain is 2, which is fine. We can afford that cost. All right. Which leaves these guys. We might get, what are we going to do here? They're not looking strong in the center here, which is problematic. How are we going to get the best strength against this? The best stack against that unit? And I need to consider stacking as well. Yeah. All right, well, I don't have an immediate answer. Again, this is where I'm starting to become familiar with the rules. Tactically, operationally, struggling. What's the best way to approach this? I could sort of come off-road. This this is going to be rough wooded. It's going to cost 4 movement points. So I could go 4, 8, 12 and move up to there and combine that with these formation down here. It's the same comp group and get a strength of about 16. I'd need to consider stacking. I can't believe how weak these guys are. Yeah, they're not very strong for a 2-step battalion. Okay, give me a moment. Okay, I think I'll do that, what I just suggested. So, well, it doesn't have to be completely by forest. I can kind of go clear terrain 1, that's a total of 5, and that brings me up to 9. Reinforcements coming in can try and move down this main road, and then these guys are on this road in the forest, and they can just use that secondary road to go 1, 2, 3, and then we have a stack. Can I do that? Let me just check the 4 stacking rules, which I'm still a bit rusty on. Stacking. All right, let's check this. Stacking limits 2 battalions and 1 company. Yes, I can't have that third 1-step battalion. They will, I guess, hang back. I cannot have them either. So the most I can bring is 13 into that area. That's okay. We'll do what we can do. Now let's bring on these reinforcements though. Coming in on this trail using leg movement. So a trail leg movement is 1 per hex. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And the artillery 9H. That's, I think, horse-drawn. I don't know. I think this is the first horse-drawn unit I've seen. What does that mean for movement rates? Is there a summary somewhere on the movement sheet? No, movement allowance, blah, blah, blah. Look, let's assume it's the same for now, and I'll figure out later if not. What's their range? A decent 5. So if I can go 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yeah, we'll place them there for now. All right, there's a 26 False Gradient Division. Yeah. That's German movement. We do have this. They will go, I think it's 4, and they'll just hold Hammerville. Okay. I probably could have designated. I mean, there's this combat reserve option as well. I might have thought about that had I kind of really paused and thought about this in advance. Let me think about this is horse-drawn artillery. Horse-drawn units are mech class units, deriving all movement benefits without the need for fuel. They do not count as mech class units when determining fuel value. Yeah, okay, that's good. So they're mech class for movement, which is good. Combat reserve. So during a friendly movement phase, the active player may mark TAC mode units with CR, combat reserve markers. If that unit is a personnel type unit in TAC mode, not adjacent to enemy, battalion sized unit with at least 2 steps. Can't do it if it's a company or only a 1-step battalion. So I will need to keep that in mind. It is a good option for drawing in units. So this is a battalion size unit with 1 step remaining. So they could not have been designated combat reserve. But yes, I think the Germans are going to have to really draw on those combat reserves moving forward. Okay, so now prepared assault movement. And we've got this stack here. And just to spread things out a little bit, I'm going to move part of that stack around to the north. Give me some flexibility in the near future. That's the end of the German movement phase. There's no inactive player exploit phase, so now we can move straight to the combat phase. These guys are still under prepared assault, I should point out. So prepared assault, prepared assault. All right, combat. Let's get to the combat sequence of play. First of all, tactical assault designation. Designate units that will make tactical assaults. Okay. Let me find, let's find another group of markers. My tactical assault, I don't think I have red tactical assault markers, so we're just going to borrow the blue. Again, I mentioned earlier that these are borrowed from Atlantic War because they weren't. So we're doing a tactical assault here. We're doing a tactical assault here, and we're doing a tactical assault down here. No replacements, fire support. Both sides perform fire support missions in the order given below. So there's no air support. First of all, the inactive player conducts air fire support missions. All right, so that's air American artillery. And just the other day, I printed off some great flowcharts. And it's going to be hard to show, but this is on the GOSS Facebook group. It's a fire support flowchart, runs you through every step of a fire support mission. So let's start this. To calculate the fire support value, roll dice, add the volley points, apply dice roll modifiers, check results. Okay, let's let's remind myself where the American artillery is. I think they had some there and some there, a total of 8. And from memory, last time we just threw them all into one mission with a strength of 8. And this is, where's the strongest German attack coming from? Where's the biggest American vulnerability? I am worried about 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I am worried about this stack here. So I'm going to hold my artillery, both blocks, for this defense here. I'm going to throw one mission out at them. So I'll hold it off for now. No, actually, yeah, this is a fire support mission, so I do it straight away. Okay, so fire support mission, strength of 8. Add the volley fire support points. I'll roll a die, add the volley FS points. Is that the volley fire support points? So rusty on this stuff. I think, is that the 8 or sorry, just trying to find, here we go, fire support missions, select a spotting unit. Okay, so we've got spotters right next to them. Target hex, determine mission capacity. I don't think any of that matters because I'm just firing with 2 pieces, not sort of 9 or whatever. There's going to be 1 volley. The artillery is within range. The number of volleys is equal to the number of mission points divided by 8, where a mission point is the barrage factor. So there's 1 volley consisting of 8 mission points. So when it says add, it says to add the volley FS points. I'm a little bit confused by that point. I mean, I've done this before. But I want to make sure I'm doing it right. And I'm a little bit worried that I may have been misinterpreting this rule. So it's going to take me a moment just to double check everything. Yeah, I'm confused by this point in the resolution. Add volley fire support points. What does it mean by that? Let's go back to, I'm still on the flowchart, but I'm going to go to the fire support table. Okay, look at dice roll modifiers. So the Germans are in clear terrain. That's not going to hurt. That's going to hurt them. They don't have any defensive fieldworks or fortifications, so it's clear. Gee, they get no modifiers there. It is AFV mixed because we have a hybrid unit there. So it's a -2 modifier. Unit density, we have got 5 steps. So it's a +1. So -2 for mix, +1 for the density is -1. It's a night turn, so another -1 down to -2. The observing unit is not on a vantage point. There's no vantage point out there. Still on -2. I think that's it. -2 modifier. Okay, so it's a D10 -2 at the fire support point strength of that volley. So I think we roll at 8. Yes, at the FS point strength. So the volley strength is 8. Yes, that must be it. Okay, so I'm going to roll, and then effectively it's +6. +8, -2 for the modifier. Ugh, terrible roll. So 1 + 6 is 7, which is a single point of artillery shift on the Germans. Not a great result for the Americans, given, yeah, that's what they're really worried about. All right, not to worry. That's the American artillery done. We now get to the German artillery, and they have got 3, 2, and 3 for a total of 8. Again, they might combine this and try and clear this southern point here. If they can break up CCB, they can get in around there, really make the Americans uncomfortable. Yes, these guys are blocking the main road, but yeah, we'll go here. I'm just deciding. Oh, no, they're not in range. We're going to have a volley of 5 here. So what are the modifiers for this combat? Oh, they're on a vantage point. We have observers in prepared assault, so that's fine. Okay, so the terrain is rough wooded, which is a -1 modifier. Okay, we have mixed, so -3, because it's a hybrid unit. We have a unit density of 3, so no modifier there. It's a night game turn, so another -1, so now down to -4. And are any of these Germans in vantage points? No. No. So no vantage point. That's it. So looking at -4, so 5 barrage factors. -4 is a +1, net +1. And the Germans rolled decently a 9. That is actually going to cause a hit. It's a 1 result. Now, 1 casualty, and this is going to be a numerical hit. The owner must choose one of the options. They can choose to take the first numerical hit as a step loss, or choose to take the hit as a retreat. I think they're going to choose to take this as a retreat. So we then follow this series of procedures in 11.6.2b. We can only take this option if the target unit can retreat 1 hex. They can. We remove any attack designation from the target unit. All a target units suffer 1 artillery shift hit. The owning player retreats all target units 1 hex. Now they have a retreat priority. They're going to want to retreat along the road to there, which isn't ideal, but that's what they're doing. The owning player subtracts 1 hit from the total numerical hits garnered. Then that's it. We're done. That's kind of good for the Americans, really frustrating for the Germans, because this was their big assault down south, and it's just collapsed because the Americans have retreated. So can they now? I don't think they can. Well, can they advance? Advance if after resolving all hits there are no longer any units running the target hex, they can advance any or all adjacent attack designated units. Yes, that's fine. Yes, so they can now advance. So I can move these guys into there. And I might keep this group here to give them a bit of flexibility to come across here in the next AM game turn. They'll be able to move prepared assault 2 hexes, okay, which will really scare the Scare these Americans out here. All right, that's we do have one more fire support mission. This one here. Let's throw this one on this hex here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It's in range. Strength of 3. I think it's many of the same modifiers. They are not in a vantage point. So we're looking at, actually this might be quite a densely packed. We have 1, 2, 3, 4. No, we're just at 4. That's good. 5 or 6 gives you a +1 modifier. So the Americans are in rough wooded again, so -1. Mixed, so -2. Yep. For a total of -3. And it's night turn, so -4. So again, we're looking at 3 -4 is -1 modifier to the German roll. It's another 8, which is an artillery shift on the American stack, which the Germans are reasonably happy with, all things considered. It'll help them during combat. Whew. Okay, that's all the artillery done. We can now move to the actual combat. And we've done that attacker status adjustment. This is where we would now remove the prepared assault markers or TA markers where there's no enemy adjacent anymore. We now conduct ground assaults against the Americans. Okay, so 3 tactical assaults. Let's try this one up here first. And again, to make sure I'm doing this correctly, we'll go through the ground assault sequence of play. All right, we identify the defender's hex. This one here, these are the defending units. The terrain line is rough. Okay. I'm worried about this American position here. It's not very strong. Okay, so we're looking at rough. Where's my CRT? So rough terrain, not rough wooded, just rough, which is line 2. All right, here's my terrain effects. Sorry, my CRT. So looking at rough, line 2. It's a single hex attack, not multi-hex. We are not looking at constricted terrain in this area. There's no standoff to worry about, no bridges to worry about. We then determine the assault value, and we're looking at Germans with a strength of 19. This is a strong stack. This is a reconnaissance as well, so they can inspect enemy stacks. So look at 19 against 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So look at 2 to 1 on line 2. 2 to 1. Line 2, 2 to 1 is just in favour of the defender. When I say that, odds to the left of this line tend to benefit the defender, odds to the right tend to benefit the attacker. So this is just here 2 to 1, line 2. All right, 2 to 1, line 2. Now we need to weigh up. And in fact, I will point out as well, I do have, oh sorry, I didn't check. Before I do that, I'm 2 to 1. I need to go back because I forgot to check for ammunition depletion. The Americans fired first, 1 big volley. Their value, they want low rolls. A 9 is not a low roll. Their ammunition depletion value is 7, which means they have to deplete 2 artillery pieces. All right. Let's find my ammunition depletion marker. Here we go. So the difference between 9 and that value of 7 is 2. So if I understand this correctly, they have to deplete 2 artillery pieces. And they only have 2 artillery pieces. So they both depleted, and I'll figure out what that means later on. For now, I know that those markers go on it. The Germans have an even worse value, and they roll a 3. So they are fine. I think their value is 3 actually. So I'll double check that. Yep, German ADV is 3. They roll a 3. 3 or less is what they needed. So none of their artillery is depleted. So the Germans will still have their artillery for the next turn. And again, I'll check what that means for the Americans later on. Okay, that's the ADV check after firing. I did 2 checks. So that's the first artillery barrage. I have to check for this one as well. Yeah, that's a 0. Okay, so they also survive with ammunition remaining. Back to combat. We're at 2 to 1. And I was about to point out that there is a ground assault resolution flowchart, which I haven't used before. So let's check. Where does this start? This is a huge flowchart, and I don't even know where it begins. It looks like it begins with mandatory PR. Oh, this is resolution. This is based on what result you get. Okay, doesn't actually guide you through ground assault. It's just the effect of ground assault. All right, so back to the chart. We're on 2 to 1, line 2, column shifts. Let's figure this out. Attacker shifts. The attackers are not in PA mode. So this is the benefit of being in PA mode. You get a column shift. Each artillery shift marker on the defending stack, no. Bearing in mind this is the attacker stack, defending stack, so no shifts there. The defending unit is not in combat reserve. Defender is not overstacked. No column shifts that I can see. Defending unit is not raw or green. They are not attacking at offensive work. Okay, so no column shift. The defender, however, gets a column shift. One to the left, beneficial to the defender because of that artillery shift on the Germans. It is a night game turn, so that's another shift to the Americans. And I think that's it. There are no adjacent defenders. There are engineers. Engineers gain an attacking shift against offensive work, so they basically cancel out. But the Americans have engineers. That doesn't really matter in this case. Commandos. Now we determine the DIROM modifiers. So we look at proficiency ratings, and we have to use. Now we can choose the best one. This is for the lead unit. We've got a defender of 6 and the defaults. So I think we use what was the default again? I've forgotten. I think it was 6 and 6 for those companies unmarked. Yeah, okay, so the Americans have 6. The Germans have a 9. Wow. So we're looking at a difference of 3. 9 minus 6 is 3 bonuses for the Germans, and these are worth 5 each. So that's plus 15 for the Germans. Regimental integrity bonus. Well, the Americans aren't going to get it here because they're various companies and an engineer battalion. The Germans, however, have 2 battalions. Oh, are they the same Kampf group? One bomb. No, they're not. They're different formations, so they don't get that regimental integrity bonus. Still at plus 15. Now we'll look at armor and anti-tank. And we weigh up attacking armor and defending anti. So they've got a 6 there. Wow. And the Americans can muster a 4 anti-tank with that M18. All right, the difference is 2. 6 minus 4 is 2, which gives the Germans 2 bonuses, I think, with each bonus being worth 5. If I'm remembering this all correctly. Oh, wait, so there may be terrain modifiers. Yes, there are. Terrain modifiers to armour and anti-tank. They are in rough terrain. Rough terrain, which is -1 modifier. Pretty sure this is the attacking modifier, right? Allows, oh, okay, so it's -1 to the modifiers allowed. Confers a -2 modifier, and this allows a maximum. Okay, so unit defending in rough, the player can use the rough to modify bonuses. The player will choose the woods that confers a -2 modifier. Okay, so the Germans only get 2 modifiers. They're worth 5 each. Oh, wait, sorry. Are they worth 5 each? I'm trying to find this out. Oh, it's 2. The maximum of bonuses is 2 during night turns, modified by 1. So I think there's only 1 modifier to this German armour. Receives a number of bonus. So I think that modifier is 5. I'm trying to figure out where it's stated, but yeah, I'm pretty sure that's it. So the Germans get a 15 for proficiency, plus 5 for their armour, which was quite heavily modified. Yeah, for a total of plus 20. So we're now looking at basically row F on the CRT, which you can't see, with a plus 20 modifier. We now roll 2d6, greens are 10s, blacks are 1s. Okay, we do attacker first. Oh, that's a 0-2. So that's 22, which is terrible. It's an asterisk result, which is a mandatory proficiency check. The Germans need to roll, the Americans need to roll on their worst, well, they're all 6, right? So 6 or less, they succeed. No impact. All right, so now the defenders roll and add 20 to this, and they get 73. That is a pretty good result for the Americans. It is 1 mandatory hit on the Germans. So a mandatory hit. Wow. They've got to take a step. Oh, yep, got to take a step loss. All right, let's take it from that reconnaissance unit. That hurts. Now, nothing else is going to happen with this artillery shift, so I'll take that off as well. And I'll also take the marker off just to show that they're done. So the Americans getting lucky. If you recall turn 1, they got very lucky with their combat. Again, getting lucky. Getting the better of the combat rolls, basically, to inflict some steps on the Germans. But can that hold? Let's try this combat. This is where the Germans actually have an artillery shift on the Americans. Let's go back to the start. Where is this combat taking place? Well, it's taking place in wooded, not rough wooded, just wooded terrain, which brings us to line 2. Let's determine the odds. We are looking at 12, 18, 21 attackers against 10, 11, 12 defenders. So 21 divided by 12 will give us sort of, so we'll look at line 2, we're looking at not quite 2 to 1. Oh, yeah, 3 to 2 odds. So row G. No standoff, no bridges, no combat strength modifiers that we need to worry about. Column shifts. 1 to the Germans, because the Americans have that artillery shift modifier. It's a night turn, so it shifts back again to the left. No other modifiers apply. We may have some dice roll modifiers. So, proficiency rating. Let's have a look at what we've got here. We have got a 9 against the American, defensive 6. Yep. Hello. All right, so 9 minus 6 is 3. That's 15 factors for the Germans. Have they maintained their formation? Yes, they get 10. So it's 5 for each additional unit, I believe. So they've got 3 units there. For each participator, maybe it's 3. Maybe you count 3 times. You award the attacker 1 regimental integrity bonus for each eligible participating unit. Yeah, I think they all count. They're not that's company size. So that company size units don't count, but the other 2, it's a 1-step battalion. Does that count? Yeah, I believe so. So let's say plus 10. So that's 15 plus 10 is 25. Let's look at anti-tank. We have got 6 against 4. 6 against 4, which is 2. It's a night turn, so maximum of 2. It's in wooded terrain, which means the Americans can -2 modifier. So bring that down to 0. So there are no modifiers for that. So looking at a net 25 for proficiency and regimental integrity. 25 on row G. Let's roll. What did I say? Greens are 10s. 25, that makes it 60 for the Germans, which gives them a result of *1. That is a proficiency check for the Americans, which they pass, and 1 mandatory hit, which they must inflict on the lead unit. So they take a hit. All right. Now the Americans roll, and again, plus 25 to their roll of 8. Ooh, that's not good. It's going to be 33. 33 is still decent. It's 1 mandatory hit, 1 discretionary hit. So they want to roll low on this table. Yeah, okay, interesting. Attacker wants to roll high, defender wants to roll low, because this is better than the results from last time. Okay, so 33 gives them a result of 1 and 1. 1 mandatory, 1 discretionary. What am I doing? I'm looking at the wrong... I flipped the wrong defender. This is where we're doing combat. So that was the lead unit. They have to take a step loss. Now the Germans have 1 and 1. Okay. 1. That really hurts. But that was one of their lead units. And 1 discretionary, which they'll convert into a retreat. reluctantly. Again, the Americans are getting the better of the Germans in this combat. Now, because they converted that discretionary hit into a retreat, yeah, they can either attempt to hold, attempt to conduct a limited retreat, yes, so they need to roll for their proficiency check. They fail. If they fail, 13, 10, 4A. 13, 10, 4A. All right, they must retreat. I think that's it. They just resolve. They can stop there. It doesn't matter. Not going well for the Germans, fair to say. They're losing, critically, they're losing a lot of steps in these American defences. All right, let's try this one. Tactical assault here. We have got a strength of 13 on 8. So it is narrowly 3 to 2, and it is in rough wooded, which is line 3. So 3 to 2, line 3 is again beneficial to the defender. 3 to 2, line 3. It's already not looking good for the Germans. Column shifts. No artillery shifts in this area. It is a night turn, so it shifts 1 to the left. Dice roll modifiers. The Germans have proficiency of, where am I looking? Sorry, down here. 7, the Americans have a 6, so it's +5. We've got armour of 4 versus 4, so it's balance. So, and we have regimental integrity +5, so looking at a +10 modifier to the Germans. As the attacker, they roll a 29, which is an asterisk result, proficiency check for the Americans, which they pass. The Americans counterattack. They get a 0-0, which is very good. +10 gives them a asterisk, 1 discretionary, 2 mandatory. Wow, okay, so the asterisk is failed. So they fail the proficiency check just to get, these are the Germans. So the Germans, where's the, okay, this is where the flowchart could help. So if they fail, they must take a discretionary hit, I think. Add 1 discretionary hit. So 2 discretionary hits, 2 mandatory hits. This is devastating. So there's 1, 2 mandatory hits, and they are going to retreat. 1, 2. I think that's right, basically. Conduct full retreat. They must retreat the full distance allowed. Cannot stop. 1 hex for each discretionary hit. Yeah, I think that's all okay. They can meet the retreat requirements, basically. So, wow. The American defense has just smashed this German attack. I am, wondering. I mean, it's only game turn 2, and the Germans kind of feel shattered. You can see all their reduced units, all these big, strong formations have just been smashed in 2 turns. That's the end of the combat phase. We now go to the administration phase. And combat phase, administration phase, air resupply, supply determination, ammo replenishment. This is where I'll need to read the rules to check how I do this, what AMP is, how I seek to replenish that American artillery. But that brings us to the end of the second turn. And I'll finish up here. That can be removed. Wow. Yeah, it's really interesting. The Germans are rolling low on the attack. The Americans, the odds are always sort of in their favour. I think the Germans have thus far found it hard to shift combat to the right-hand side of that table to get beneficial odds. So the American plan to kind of put up these roadblocks and just slow the Germans down is really going well. I think they've hardly lost anything really, and the 101st Airborne are arriving next turn. So thus far, things are looking very good for the Americans. All right, folks, I will wrap it up there. Thank you all for tuning in, and